All right, going live in three, two, one. This is episode 7 of the Working Title Experience. And tonight we have Anna back on for another show when we bring Anna back on. Anna, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing okay. I feel like I got a lot more energy than last week, so we're doing good. I've been sleeping a lot, and I'm ready for action.
Cool. Your audio sounds much better than it did last week as well. It sounds like,
Beautiful. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be very con.
uh-oh, you there? Uh-oh. Are you there, Anna? I think we lost you for a second. Well, it seems like, Anna, if you're there, if you can hear me, uh, try to I can see your it says you're still logged in, but I can't actually see you or hear you, I should say. I'm not getting any sound. Um, why don't you go ahead and if you can, well, let me go ahead and pause this for a second. Pull this off. I will be right back. Apologize, we got a small technical problem. Be right back. Okay, we're back. Let me see if Anna is there. Anna, are you there?
Hey, how's it going? We
Okay, now we
good?
got you. Good. Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, okay. Hopefully we're good from here on out.
Cool, cool. So today, this is the anniversary of the beginning of the lockdowns, where they said they were going to shut everything down for 2 weeks.
It
Uh,
is? Are you
and we're
sure?
getting close to it anyway. I don't think we're the exact day. I think it's very soon though. But it was March of last year, so I'm not. I do not remember the exact date, but we're getting very close to it. Um,
Yeah.
uh, see, so how do you feel about the fact that this 2 week shutdown has been almost a year now?
Well, I'm in Florida, so I think we do things a little bit differently over here. So I really haven't felt that. We did have the 2 weeks to stop the spread, and things kind of slowed down and for everybody for at least those 2 weeks. But Florida really lifted most of its restrictions pretty quickly, and obviously we couldn't have like concerts and everything like that for a minute. We still really can't. But I mean, Super Bowl was here. We had other sporting events here. It seemed CPAC was here, so it seems like everything is kind of coming to Florida because we pretty much stayed open. We have really, really loose rules and regulations when it comes to masks. So yeah, it's pretty lax state. I know you are in Virginia, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't. From what I understand, there's still a mask mandate across the state, which in certain areas doesn't really make much sense. I don't think it makes sense anyway. But certain areas of Virginia are extremely rural. I'm not exactly sure how that's supposed to help in those areas, but the yeah, there. Aside from that, there's not really been much of a shutdown. There's been limitations on things, so it's not too bad as it is in other parts of the country. I was trying to compare it with other states, and I don't see very much as far as like California obviously seems to be the worst, but even they apparently are actually lightening up right now.
Yeah, that's because Newsom is getting recalled, so they're trying to make things a little bit more pleasant so people aren't as unhappy. But yeah, it seems like all the people that were getting praised at the beginning of this whole ordeal have it seems like it's now the inverse because I don't know if you remember Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York. was like the darling of the pandemic for many weeks slash months. I mean, I vividly remember people like, I know this sounds weird, but people were like sexually fetishizing him, like looking forward to his press conferences that he would do on like a very regular basis, maybe even daily. Because as you remember, New York City was the epicenter in the States for probably like a good month or two before it kind of moved down to Florida. And then everyone's like, oh, Floridians are pieces of shit. But New York City was like the epicenter, so there was a lot of attention and focus on Bill de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo and Fauci. And I mean, I even remember, I mean, because I kind of like go through a lot of, offbeat news, but they even made like panties with Fauci's name on it or Cuomo's name on it. Like they really sexually fetishized these like heads of state or immunology, whatever Fauci's technical title is, because they were like crusaders of this uncharted territory. I'm just sorry. Let me just yell at these cats for a second, really quick. Hey, fuckface, get out of here, Graham. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Is that your cat's name?
No, they're really not my cats. They're my roommates. But she's here and she can't, put a handle on them. But yeah, there's two cats, so they're just being a little bit rambunctious and stuff around here. I'm like, you guys have the whole house. What are you doing? Sorry about that. But yeah. So back to Cuomo being a piece of shit. I'm sure you were aware of like all of the scandals he's been involved in now. Everything seems to be coming to light. So that's interesting to see.
Yeah. Well, I will say about New York. New York doesn't seem to be under much of a restriction at this point. I have to do some reporting in the New York area right now, and as far as the traffic is concerned, it's getting pretty much back to normal. I mean, from what it was like over a year ago.
Sure.
And even Long Island is really getting back. I mean, there's a lot of traffic. A lot of people are out on the roadways. So as far as any lockdowns, I'm not sure what's going on in New York right now as far as the city itself, but it looks like a lot of people don't really seem to care anymore. It seems like they're acting like it's not a big deal. I mean, just based solely on what I'm seeing with the traffic out there. So,
Yeah. I mean, I have some cousins that live in, I don't know if they live in Manhattan or Brooklyn, but excuse me for just one moment while I, thank you. Okay, we're good. We should be good now.
with
But
the
I mean, I have some cousins that, I mean, it is wild to me. They have not left their house. Like, they have like a little townhouse and they just like go up and down the stairs for exercise. And I briefly spoke to one like around, it was like around, we're Jewish, so around like Hanukkah. And I'm like, what do you do every day? Like, what about the grocery store? And he's like, I don't leave to go to the grocery store. I just have everything delivered. We do not leave. And I was like, oh my God. So I think there's still some people that are really, really paranoid and, you know, feverishly awaiting when the vaccines are open to everybody, and just want to be like stuck in the neck with a needle as soon as possible. But, clearly that's not my take on things. I personally, and I'm happy to talk about this. I mean, I've been on a prophylaxis for about 3 months now. So I got a doctor to prescribe me hydroxychloroquine, which, when Trump was talking about it, I know a lot of people were like, that's not tested and da 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 and all this like bullshit. Well, I mean, there's plenty of research to suggest that it is helpful. And it's also a drug that's been on the market since like the 1950s. So it's not like an experimental drug. And I'm pretty sure I took it when I was in Southeast Asia because it's an anti-malarial. So I've been taking that with zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D. And I mean, like I mentioned before, I have not been careful. I've been to parties where there have been over 100 people, maskless. I go out frequently. I hang out with friends in close quarters. I've been on 4 planes since the pandemic, and I have yet to even get a sniffle.
what, what,
So, yeah.
what, sorry, I mean, you talked about being on planes. What's it like on the planes?
Well, I mean, it depends what airlines you ride. I am poor, so I ride the most disgusting, like scum of the earth, uh, airlines, like Frontier and Spirit. I mean, they were bad for other reasons, but well, the first time I was behind an autistic toddler, so you can just probably imagine what that was like, where he was just screaming for about 4.5 hours. Nevertheless, it's pretty packed. Everybody has to wear a mask. They're pretty strict about keeping it over your nose and stuff. But I mean, it was like every seat was full on all of the flights I was on. And I mean, again, I have yet to get a sniffle. So I'd like to think the prophylaxis is working, like, which just means like preventative medicine. But it could be luck, but I don't think that it is. Like, I've been very careless, so I
No,
think it's working.
as far as yeah, as far as I'm so curious about the flights because I've been on a commercial airline since I was like 10 or 12 years old.
Are you scared to fly?
Oh no, I used to be an airborne traffic reporter, so I used to fly
Oh,
in the
okay.
Cessnas all the time. Those, if you fly in a Cessna, you can definitely fly in a commercial jet. That's for sure.
Oh, okay.
The Cessnas are very small, and they're like riding a small rickety car. That's the wind, just a small wind, you start to flip all around all over the place.
I gotcha.
So, but no, I'm just curious as to how you were very close. I mean, you were actually sitting like they weren't like distancing people apart.
No,
Oh, okay.
I was often in the middle seat. I think 3 out of 4 flights, maybe. I was in the middle seat.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean every seat was full.
Wow, okay. That's
Hmm.
interesting. I just it seems to me like there's obviously. I mean, I have no intention of taking any kind of. And not that I'm an anti-vaccination person. I just don't have any desire to take something, especially from what I've heard. It's so it hasn't been really tested that much. That's the one concern I have.
Exactly, like with the vaccine.
Yeah.
That's why I have no. I mean, unless I have to get it, and they're like making my life just hard to live, and it's just not convenient, then I'll get it. Like if I can't go to concerts or if I can't travel, I'll certainly get the vaccine. But other than that, I mean, I've been on this prophylaxis for several months, and I mean, like I said, I haven't gotten sick. I work with a doctor on my other job, and he's been on it since May or March or something of last year. And he's been telling everybody, like, if everybody was on this little concoction of just like, well, the hydroxychloroquine you need to get prescribed, but like zinc and vitamin D and vitamin C, you don't. He's like, if everybody was taking that, this whole thing would be over in like 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Uh,
And there was also a study that I saw in Argentina where they used ivermectin, which is another medication. It's like an what is it called? Not an anti-parasite, I think, drugs and like anti-parasital or whatever. But they had 400 frontline workers, like healthcare workers in Argentina, take this prophylactically, which just means preventatively. And they were working with COVID patients. Zero got COVID.
hmm.
Zero.
Well, I to jump back to what you were saying earlier about your family, right? That has not left their home, and
Some of them, yeah, in New York. Hmm.
I'm kind of close to that, in the sense, but not because of any COVID. That's just because I've been running my business for the past since 2006, and for the past 9 years, I've been kind of dedicated to it. So I hardly ever leave my house. So when COVID came,
Really?
but yeah, when COVID came around, I've just haven't had a chance. Nothing really changed.
Ah, okay, okay.
So for me, it's like people said, well, "How do you deal with that?" I say, "Well, I mean, I'm still just working out of my house, and I hardly
It's
ever get out
usual.
anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm just stuck here anyway." So it wasn't really much of a change, except for dealing with different sponsors and different, I had to lay a couple people off that were working for me. But aside from that, it really hasn't been that much of a change. So I find it funny when people are saying that they're stuck at home. It's like, well, hey, I've been doing it for almost 10 years now. And it's, just you get used to it. I've gotten used to it. I guess some people just can't stand it.
You when you first started working from home, did you like that adjustment or not so much?
Well, when I first started, I had two other full-time jobs. So I was teaching, and I was also working over at Clear Channel. So I had
Okay.
I had the people that were working for me were actually working out of my home, so they were maintaining the studio. And so only after I lost my teaching job and I lost my Clear Channel job that I started working out of the home every day. And I was just, and it wasn't that much. It wasn't, it really didn't affect me. In fact, I enjoyed it because I didn't have to go to Clear Channel anymore. That was a, that was a joy.
That's so I'm guessing, I mean, I don't really know you too well personally, but it sounds like you're pretty introverted. Is that
It's
basically
become that, unfortunately. For the,
okay?
yeah, before it wasn't so much. I mean, when I was teaching it, I was, I was able to get out and talk to a lot of people. And after I dedicated myself to this business, that's kind of like, yeah, unfortunately, that's what it's become for the past, I'd say, 8 years or so, 8 or 9 years. So,
Okay. Do you, I mean, do you, because to me now this is interesting to me, like, do you crave more human interaction, or like you said, you've kind of just become so used to it that you're just, you
oh,
almost like prefer it, not
No,
people.
well, over the past, okay, most of the time it hasn't bothered me. I don't really crave any being around anyone else. I do talk to a lot of people on the phone. I talk to a lot of people through the radio because I'm talking to people through the radio all the time. So, and I
Hmm.
have to deal with my affiliates. So I'm not like completely isolated like by myself. And I do correspondence through messaging and all that. But recently, yeah, I started when the show. I don't really like to talk about the show that I did before this with you. It was called the My Ann Marson Experience. We did Ann and I did the show for a few months. After that, I did start to crave more of a desire to be talking to more people after she left the show. So
Okay.
Ann and I for a while I thought we had hit it off and we were really close as friends, but then it kind of deteriorated towards the end. And to answer your question, yeah, I do kind of crave that. So it's not before that though. Before I met Ann, it wasn't so much. I was kind of content with what I was doing.
Interesting. So you kind of switched it up. You were having more of a casual conversation with someone, and then you were like, "Oh, this is nice. I want more of this."
Yeah, and well, the thing was that I considered Anne a friend. I
Mhm.
really considered her really close as a friend, and I started to care for her. I think that's what was, and usually I cared for her in the same way I care for like my family and things. I was getting concerned for her, and we'd spent a lot of time doing things online. Like she would invite me to like Zoom parties and things like that. So it kind of opened me up to like the idea of this is more than just it was more than just two people talking. It was definitely a strong friendship, and so
Got it.
and that really started to make me feel like, man, I need to have more of this. Before that, I wasn't really feeling that so much. I was talking to family and other friends, and but we didn't do anything like that. I guess most of the people I know don't really do a lot of online things. So because she was doing more online stuff, I guess that's what opened me up to this idea that I was craving more.
Interesting. So, look, can I ask you this? When was the last time like you went out and saw like a friend in person in the flesh?
Family, my dad, I don't remember. I consider my dad a friend, so
Sure. I mean, it could be family. Like, when was the last time you like hung out? Let's even just
oh,
let's
oh, my
even just say a
within
friend,
the past
like
well,
in
within the
person.
year. Yeah, within the past year. Yeah, went up to my dad's place and spent some time with him. So,
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool.
yeah, I mean, I'm not like completely like, stuck at home not doing anything. No, I do go out occasionally. So,
Okay. Good. Good. I don't know. I just feel like I often talk about this where I just think like we live in a world that really wasn't developed for our human brain, if that makes sense. So like we're really social animals, and not that you're isolated, because obviously you have connection to the outside world. Your job and livelihood depends on it. But I just think it's interesting that you're able to kind of be isolated in some sense where you aren't seeing anybody in the flesh for extended periods of time, and then you're somehow like okay with that, because I feel like it would make me go crazy at least.
yeah, well, it did. The one thing that I miss is teaching because I taught for quite a few years.
Right.
I did miss that because the interaction with the students was great, and I really wish I could go back to doing something like that again. But the interaction I had with, well, I don't want to get too specific, but when I was at Clear Channel, that was not a great experience for me, and
Okay.
I don't miss that at all, except for like maybe one or two people, which I
Sure.
there was I'm not saying everyone over there is bad, but but it was my experience over there was not good. So, and I don't when I once I left there, I felt like I was missing something, but that dissipated pretty quickly because I was glad to be gone from it.
Right. It seems like the negatives outweighed the positives, so you were happy to be gone.
Yeah. No, strangely though, I mean, I did work at a radio station called WTOP for prior to that, and the people there were the exact opposite. I missed that.
Mm,
I still miss that place. In fact, I wouldn't mind
okay.
working there again. I'm not going back there or anything like that. I'm just saying if I had to choose where, like, if I had to go back to someplace, I wouldn't mind going back for the interaction, because the one thing I always said whenever people ask me about the work I did there, I always said the best thing about the place was the people. The people were phenomenal.
Oh, great.
So I do miss that kind of interaction. That was fun. We'd always joke around and have a good time. Clear Channel was not fun. It was I don't know what people have, if you ever heard anything about Clear Channel, it's just not a fun place. And what I know, they call it iHeartRadio now.
Yeah, yeah, it's super corporate, and I mean, iHeartRadio, it sounds like they're going. I know they've been through a few slaughters the last year, but it sounds like they're about to go through another one. Like they're completely revamping the way they do things, and they're automating everything, and they're cutting a lot of like mid-market shows. And it sounds like they just want a few big shows. This Ryan Seacrest, the Elvis Duran's, and then they'll be syndicated everywhere, and everybody else is just SOL. So
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah, the company, yeah, when I was there, they merged. I was working for their traffic department, doing traffic reports, and they merged Metro Traffic. Are you familiar with Metro Traffic?
I'm not, no.
Okay, Metro Traffic it was actually owned by Westwood One. They merged it with there was a company that was merged with like several traffic reporting companies, and I kept on getting laid off.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I was getting laid off because they were constantly merging companies together, and with that final merger, Clear Channel bought out Metro Traffic, and I got laid off again. So that's the last time I ever actually worked
Oh,
for an actual company. So,
right.
and they with the layoffs, like you were saying, it's just constant layoffs. And when I was working there, they had all this office space with nobody sitting there. There were like empty desks everywhere.
That's crazy. Yeah, I heard a similar. I mean, it seems like it was a nationwide slaughter. So they're revamping, doing things a little bit differently. I
Mhm.
was also wondering about this as well, like beyond just Clear Channel and radio, but like I was driving by all these corporate offices, and I was like, what the fuck are they going to do with these places? Because I imagine anybody back, even after everybody's vaccinated and everything. It's like, why would you pay for electricity and janitorial services and, paper supply, like all of those things that go into maintaining an office space? If they realize they can do everything from home, like what's the point of like paying rent or mortgage or buying a building if everybody can just kind of do whatever, do their job from home?
Right.
Um,
But I mean, you still have to have some corporate. I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but then you'd also have the people who, like you said, would want human interaction. That would probably drive them crazy if they're accustomed to it.
yeah, but if the company doesn't have to pay for the building and all the maintenance of the building and the janitorial stuff, like why would they? You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I'm Bank of America, say, and I have not the actual bank, but whatever, like say corporate, and I have all my staff there every day, whatever, but they've been able to all work from home successfully for a year. Why do I need a three-story building like with all of these cubicles? Why would I have that if everybody can just kind of work from home?
Exactly, and that's funny that you bring that up because the bank I have recently did that to me. They actually shut down all their local branches, so I can't even go to a local bank anymore.
Oh
Um,
wow.
the
Yeah.
closest bank for me right now is Capital One. They shut it down, the last local branch, back in October. So, in order for me to go to a bank, I'd have to drive like about an hour away now. Um,
Right.
and the excuse they were giving was, well, people do everything online nowadays. I'm sure there's probably some other reason why they always put some sort of companies usually put a spin on it. But because of that, I now have to, it's not like it's really an inconvenience, but I have to use the mobile deposit feature on my phone to deposit checks now whenever they come in,
Hmm.
things like that. Um, all my transactions, if I have any problems, I have to call them up directly and talk to them. Um, so I mean, there are still some people, obviously, at the corporate headquarters. I believe, there's always going to be someone there. But even that, when I was having issues with I was having not an issue, but I had a question with my mortgage company. I had to call them up, and the woman, I'm pretty sure, was working out of her home because
Hmm.
it sounded like there was a child in the background.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's getting back to what you're saying about what are they going to need with that. And I don't know how many people are going to want to do that, though. I mean, a lot of people would probably get upset after a while. I would think, not maybe that, having to use their own equipment, and they would say, "How am I gonna get reimbursed for this?" I mean,
Well, I mean, like, I'll speak for my roommate because she is like, you know, just quintessential corporate America. But she brought her monitors and like her computer equipment, that she had in the office to our place, and it's just she set up shop in the living room, and she's been here for, like you said, just about a year. And it's one of those things where at first it's probably kind of fun because you don't have to like wake up early and for her, put on makeup, drive there, like all that shit. So she, she used to wake up an hour and a half before she had to be at work. Now she, has to be at work at 7. She gets up at 6:58, like, just crawls to the living room, and then there she is, and she doesn't have to get dressed. She can stay in her PJs all day. And I imagine at first that must be like kind of cool, probably for like a week, where you're like, this is different and new, and I don't have to get ready. And then it probably gets boring, and then you probably hate it, and then you just kind of get Stockholm to it, like you just kind of get used to it. And now when I asked her, like, would you want to go back, she's kind of like, I miss the interaction, because she's like a hyper social person, like more than me even. But she's just like, it's just so convenient to work from home. Like, why would I want to spend money on gas and be in traffic, and get up early to get have breakfast, and do all. And then she got cats, so then she's just hanging out with the cats all day. She's like, why would I want to leave the baby, the babies, and I can do my laundry while I'm working. Like, she can do all these things, and she can clean the house, and so for her it's just super convenient. And she says she would kind of like a blend where she'd go to the office like 2 days a week, stay home 3 days a week, but nobody I know wants to go back to the office full time.
she's actually going back right now, is what you're saying?
No, she's saying like in her ideal world that she would like to go in 2 days a week and then be home 3 days a week to get just, a bit of social, human interaction. But most people I know just want to stay home completely. And it sounds like they have no intention of bringing anyone back where she works, because she works, like everything she was doing at the office was online. She wasn't talking to customers face to face or anything. So she's like, why would I don't need to be there. Like, everything is, like you said, everything is online. Calls she can take here, anybody, any emails can be here. She doesn't have to go to a place to do all that stuff. She can work remotely. So
And also talking about, the fact she doesn't have to put on makeup. I've gotten
yeah.
so lazy that I actually, when my dad sees me, he always laughs at my, really long beard that I've grown. I have a
Oh
ZZ
yeah.
style beard. That's one of the reasons why I don't like to show my face right now. I'd have to actually trim my beard down a little bit and actually style my hair a little. I've gotten lazy on on my
Yeah, I
grooming.
think everybody has. I mean, like, what is the motivation if you know you're not going to be seen? Like, there is none. So
And that's another reason that I've kind of what another well, one of the things I don't like is the fact that things are moving into a more video based environment where you can call them and see them. One of the things I always loved was when I had a telephone. If I just woke up, I didn't have to worry about how I look. But now that
yeah.
let's do these Zoom calls and Skype calls, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that because now I have to make myself look presentable.
Right. Yeah. Well, I never make myself look presentable, and I'm on camera 6 hours a day every day. So I feel like even the pressure when like a few thousand people are watching me, it's still not like I still don't care, because I mean, I go to work every day in Tampa, and I work with like 5 to 7 guys depending on the day, and we're on camera, where we stream the show live on Twitch. So we're on camera all the time. But I mean, when you're waking up at 4:30, it's hard to really get yourself together to really care and put on all the makeup and everything. So I put on usually a little mascara, and then I'm like, that's enough. So,
So
yeah.
how's the trip in there when you go in? Is it what I've seen in Tampa? You're working in Tampa, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I see the morning commute, it's really light. Now Tampa doesn't start to bog down. They still haven't gotten fully back to a full traffic mode yet, like New York is.
I honestly wouldn't even know because my commute is only about like 12 minutes,
Oh,
and I'm going at like before like 5:45 in the morning.
oh yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah, you're going
there's
before.
no one. I mean, there not no one. There's people, but it's never like slow for traffic or anything like that.
No, the afternoons are a bear lately. That's really, I mean, especially like today, Tampa was really packed. There was traffic all over. Well, no, there was some rain that was moving through this morning that was adding to some of those.
Yeah. I mean, not really for me because I get home usually 12 between 12 and 1.
Okay,
So not like yeah, not rush hour or anything like that. So I've just been like pretty lucky with all that stuff. Um but yeah, I mean to me it would be a nightmare for me to work from home. I can't do that. I can't operate. I if there's a fridge and I can't focus. I have to like to me, I guess I'm a separatist. Like I need to go to a place of work and then come to like the home is where I relax. So I guess it's just kind of like a mental shift. Like when I go to work, it's like it's work time. We need to focus. We need to get stuff done. We really need to dial it in. Same reason why I don't like to work out at home. I need to go to a gym. Like this is where we, get swole. This is where we, you know, try hard, and it's a different energy versus like just doing squats in my room or something. Yeah. So
you don't have like, I mean, working out at your like if you had workout equipment at home, that wouldn't be.
oh I do have workout equipment. My roommate has some that I've used, like she has some dumbbells and stuff. And when the gyms were closed, I did do that, or I'd go for a run outside, but like I hate it. I hate it. I would
Oh,
much rather be at like even like a somewhat busy gym. I know that's probably a nightmare for you, but like I like the energy of, being around people that are
oh,
working out. Yeah. So I like to go to a place, work out, and then come home and just like fucking chill. So
gotcha. So, I would like to bring this up here. One of the
sure.
a link about the Tex. This is something that started. I think it was announced today about Texas being the biggest state. Now there are several states that have been lifting some of their mandates recently.
Yeah.
So this is a link that you had sent me, and I'm going to try to bring this
I'm going
up.
to turn now to the
Oops.
latest in the fight against the corona.
Hold on a second. Didn't mean that.
That's okay.
If you want, if you want to bring up the email that you sent me earlier, this would be the second link that you sent me with ABC News. I'm gonna go ahead.
Okay.
So if you want to try to see that, I know we're having issues with you being able to see what's going on
Right.
the screen here. While I'm trying to bring it up. Give me a second here. Okay. Now you're not able to see that, right? Oh, you there? Hello. Uh-oh. I think we lost Anna again. Are you there, Anna? Let me bring that back down. Hold on a second. Anna, why don't you, if you're there, why don't you try to disconnect and reconnect using the invite code? I think the invite code is still the same. Yeah, it's still the same. Just use the same invite code. And while we're waiting for Anna to reconnect, I will bring up the article here. Hold on a second. So basically, what's going on is New York. Okay, here we go. We got Anna. You there, Anna? Anna, you there? I can see your avatar, but I cannot hear you. I think we're having some sound issues with this one. See, hold on a second. I'm going to turn this off. Okay, we'll be right back. We got a little bit of a technical issue here. Hold on. Be right back. You there, Anna? Anna? If you're there, I cannot hear. I can see you're connected. However, I cannot hear you, unfortunately. Hold on a second. Let me disconnect this. We'll be right back. Okay, we're going to test this out. No, we're still testing everybody. Hold on a second. I'm going to pull everyone back off. Okay. Nope, we're still testing everybody. Hopefully we'll get Anna back on here. No, keep it. Okay, well, I'm going to disconnect this here. Let me see. Try it again. Okay, we're back on testing this out. No, no. Everybody, we're still testing. Just everyone can hear my voice. We can see your avatar, but we cannot see you on. We cannot hear you, Anna. Okay, you can hear my voice. Okay, okay. That means it's most likely something on your end. I would assume because you've connected and reconnected a few times. Okay, we're still testing everyone. Anna, nope. Sorry, nope. We're not able to hear you. Uh, Anna, nope. Sorry. Your your icon. You can hear me though, right? Oh, you shut off. Anna, no, no. Sorry, Anna. We still can't hear you. Yeah. I don't. Hold on a second. Let me see. Go ahead and say something. Nope. No, you're still not. We're still checking. No, I don't hear you. I don't hear you. Hello. Hi, everybody. No, we're still checking the equipment. No, not there. I do a test. I'm going to bring up. Okay, we're testing. Go ahead and test your microphone, Anna. Anything? No, no, there. Okay, we're testing everything. Like, we're good. Okay, I'm gonna hang up
Yay!
over here.
All right, all right.
Okay.
Oh my God, that was. I'm so sorry about all of that, but
Okay.
it
So,
feels good to be back.
okay, we're back, everybody. Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a technical issue, but we straightened everything out.
We sure did. Thank you for your help and your patience. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, anyway, I'll go ahead and bring up the article. What you can do if you can bring up the link for the show.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, that way you'll be like 9 seconds behind, but you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So that
Okay.
should be safe there. Whoops, give me 1 second. I'll bring it
Yep,
up.
I won't touch anything on this again.
Okay, so I brought it up. You should be able to see it on about 9 seconds. So basically, this is the ABC. This is an ABC link, ABC News link. Texas has become the biggest state that's going to lift the COVID-19 mask mandate.
Hmm.
Now, there are several states. I went through this. There are several states that are changing things around anyway, so it's not just Texas. I think they're emphasizing Texas on this one primarily because the population of Texas itself.
Right.
Are you able to see the link on the?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay,
Yep.
good. Now the uh, hold on a second. Try to get my mouse in. I can't see my mouse for some reason. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. Now I can scroll down. Okay. Um, Basically, the repeal itself doesn't take place for another week. I'm reading, just scanning through the articles. I'm not going to read
Yeah,
it word for word, but essentially, all businesses are going to reopen in Texas as well.
100%, like
Yeah,
with
but
100% capacity.
yeah, but from what I understand, I didn't read the whole article, but I have heard other people talk about this today. There are still going to be some restrictions in place. Um,
Okay.
I think what the 100% is referring to is businesses will be 100% open, but there are still some little things that are going to be in effect as far as like I think there might be some limits as to how people can like it might be some limits as to what people can do. I don't know. I don't have all the I didn't read everything through here.
Right. I think they're also lifting the mask mandate as well. There was like a statewide mask
Right.
mandate in Texas that they're lifting.
Right. That was the big thing. Uh
Yeah.
the headline was how they're going to lift the mask mandate, and also I think Mississippi was also one of the states that also joined in with this.
Yes.
I was wondering if like they're following each other. This is obviously Texas is Texas more Republican? I know it was for a while, but I know a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people from
Um,
California were moving into.
yeah, it certainly is a red state, but less red than it used to be. I'll say that.
Okay,
Yeah.
Virginia used to be a more of a Republican state until probably within the past 10 years, I think. Uh,
Right. Yeah, I know. It went blue this time, right? Yeah, I'm almost certain it did. Yeah, it certainly did.
yeah, yeah, and before that, it was always voting Republican, and it was very strong
Right.
from the
Yeah.
'60s all the way up until, like I said, I don't remember. I think it was like 5 years ago is when they really switched over because it wasn't this past election, that's for sure. Uh,
Right. Right.
Unfortunately, it's because similar to what Texas is going through, the Northern Virginia, what's referred to as Northern Virginia, which is just outside of DC, is mostly people that are not from the state. So what you're getting is
Interesting. A lot of is that where like Richmond is and stuff?
no, that's a little south.
Okay.
Northern Virginia would be just outside of DC, and DC
Okay.
is about 75 miles away from Richmond. So
Okay.
So we're talking, for those who are familiar with the DC area, there's Fairfax County, Loudoun County, Prince William County, Arlington County. That would be what would be considered Northern Virginia. I grew up in Fairfax County, which is, from what I understand, one of the richest counties in the entire country. And
Ooh, fancy.
I wasn't part of the rich people. My family was not
Oh no.
part of that rich part, though. The I actually moved out of there and moved to where I'm living now, which is Stafford County, which is about 25, 30 miles south of there, because
Okay.
I got tired of all the people. I got tired of not being very rural anymore.
Hmm.
Fairfax County is definitely not rural, and every time I tell people I was born in Virginia, everyone say, "Ooh, you're from this state," and they give me this ugly look. And
Like I feel the same way about native Floridians as well.
and there's just it got annoying after a while because none of my friends that I grew up with, well, except for Trevor, who's my friend I've had for years, he grew up in the area, but basically all my other childhood friends, they were not from the area. They'd be from New York or wherever, and they always talk about how great that place was. And I say, well, I like this area. And they go, oh, you're just like a disgusting person, aren't you?
Well, that's sad, but yeah. No, I know. I kind of feel that way about native Floridians, but rightfully so because Florida's insane.
Oh,
But I understand what you're talking about. Where is where is there parts of Virginia that are considered part of Appalachia?
yeah, that would be further west.
Okay, that's what I thought. Like West Virginia, and then also the west part of Virginia.
Well, yeah, well, West Virginia is obviously a different state, but
Yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
I didn't want to confuse that with the west part of Virginia.
yeah, there, yeah,
Okay.
that area very much so. I'm referring to my friend Trevor. I have a video. Trevor and I have been friends since we're 10 years old, and we
Okay.
used to do a public access radio show similar to Wayne's World many years ago.
Okay.
I'm bringing that up because there's a video of us doing that on my YouTube channel. But he lives in that area that you're referring to, and it is very, very nice. It's very rural. I mean, you can walk out his house and you can see the mountains right there. They're like just there. You can look.
Okay.
You're looking up at the mountains. Um,
Wow.
it's very nice. A very nice place to live. In fact, his sister was trying to encourage me to move out to that area. I never did. I'm still living here. This is not the mountains where I live. This is more getting closer to, it's not really swampy because if you get down to Richmond, you can get to some swampy areas, but this is more just regular. I don't know what you would call it. It's definitely not the mountains though. So, a lot of ticks though, which are annoying.
Oh no, that's not good. But to each their own.
So what about you got me curious now about the native Floridians? Are they
Well, they're mentally ill, so you just have to find out like maybe people think that like Virginia isn't that like sexy of a place, and that's why they were like sneering at you. But like with native Floridians, I mean, there's something wrong with them. Like I said, they are mentally ill. So when anyone tells me that they are like from this area and they didn't leave, because this is very much a transplant, not just I mean a city, but also a state. So I mean, all of my close friends are one from Illinois, one from Wisconsin, one from Ohio. People from, I mean, I'm from California, New York. Like everybody I know is like not Indiana from here. A lot of people from the Midwest. But when someone's like, "Oh, I'm from Largo," which is like half an hour from here, I go, "Ew, what's wrong with you? Like, why you never left? Like, you're born and raised." They're like, "Yep, born and raised," and I'm like, "Uh oh." Then you just got to start, keep your head on a swivel and start listening and looking for red flags, whatever they may be. So, are you doing bath salts? Are you, I don't know. Florida has just a reputation for being just not quite right, which is unfair because there are a lot of Floridians I've met that are, fine, but a lot of them just aren't quite right in the head. And everybody I know that has like a stable life and job is from out of state, Georgia, whatever it may be. But and I don't know if it's like this place makes you crazy or if it attracts crazy. And then because once you live here and you have kids here, then they're now Floridians and then they're insane. So I've been working on a few theories, but I haven't really settled on one yet about why Floridians are the way that they are. So
what about I mean, the idea, the I often hear that old people like to retire in Florida. Is that a big thing?
yes, it is. Not so much where I am. This is a pretty young professional slash suburban kind of lifestyle. But if you go to Sarasota, which is like an hour south of me, that's where 80% of the population is probably over the age of 65. And then it gets even crazier when you head over to the east side of the state, like I'm sure you've heard of like Boca Raton and Fort Lauderdale, Jupiter, like all of those places. That's and West Palm Beach. That's heavy, heavy, like snowbird city. Where it's like people were like it's a season. There'll be a few snowbirds here, but like it's a fucking movement when it gets around like October, November, the snowbirds start coming down. And then apparently traffic kind of just dissipates around, April, May, and snowbirds go back to where they go or they die. So that's kind of what happens. So,
Well, I got a question about Florida. I don't know if I
yeah.
brought this up before with you. Do you have you ever heard of the sinkhole problem? That is, uh, I heard is
I've heard of it, but like I've known someone who's seen one or anything like that. But essentially, just like, are you talking about like quicksand where it's like you just get sucked in and go into the earth sort of thing?
kind of. I saw a special about a few years ago, and it said that sinkholes occur anywhere in the world. However, Florida is heavily prone to it because Florida itself was not originally part of the continent. It was basically sediment that built up over millions of years.
Really?
So what happened was over these millions of years, the ground is not as stable as it is over the rest of North America. So it's more prone to getting sinkholes than the rest of the country.
Interesting. I had no clue. This is
And
this is new to me.
yeah, and if because of that, I've always been kind of scared. Like if I were to go to, well, I wouldn't want to buy a home in Florida because every once in a while you hear about somebody who buys a home and it turns out there's a sinkhole below their home and they can't do anything. They're stuck with it for forever. They can't sell it or anything.
Oh shit. I had no clue. I just thought people were well now everybody's moving to Florida because of, pandemic shit, but I also was hearing that people didn't want to move to Florida because global warming. Like if you're on a coast and you have like whatever X amount of $1 million property, that in like 10, 20 years is going to be underwater.
Oh,
So
oh yeah.
we got multiple issues here in the great state of Florida. So
The I've only been to Florida twice in my life, so I can't really say very much about it. So once when I was 3 years old, and I don't even remember that. And then once I drove cross country back with my friend Trevor that I was talking about before. We drove down to Florida, then we took I-10 west all the way to California. So
oh wow. Did you go to Disney? 'Cause that's usually a
when I was 3 years old, yes. We went to,
okay.
yeah, but I don't remember it. That
Sure.
but yeah, as far as the second time we just drove through, we didn't even really stop. So have you been to Disney? Is it I've heard that Disney is a like they pretty much own the entire area. I mean, they're basically their own chamber of commerce, their own government essentially.
Yeah. Well, it's in Orlando, which is about an hour and a half from me. I have not been to Disney while I've lived here. I know that sounds insane. I've been to Disney. Well, I grew up in California, very close to Disneyland. I was about probably an hour and a half from Anaheim. And then here, I visited. I had like a dance competition when I was in college, and we had our nationals in Orlando. This was probably in 2009. And then what was really cool is for all the competitors, they shut down all the parks, and we just as the competitors got to roam free, and it was just us. So that was really really cool. So yeah, that was the only time I went to Disney World. But I'm really not one for amusement parks. I went to Disneyland many like multiple times a year growing up. Either like something I did like dance team growing up, so we would have performances, or we were pretty close by, so people would have season passes, and I think I'm good for the rest of my life.
What about well you're in Tampa, isn't Anheuser-Busch there? Don't they have an amusement park as
Oh, Busch Gardens.
yes.
Yeah. I've been there to do a radio broadcast. I did not ride any rides. I'm just not an amusement park person. I don't that's not really my thrill. I don't like rides really. I don't like big crowds of people. I really don't like places where there's like a lot of kids. Like that's not fun for me. So I mean, I'm more than happy to go to like concerts. Like that's more my fix of stuff like that. But as far as amusement parks go, where like in terms of crowds, like that's not my jam.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to do that. When I was a teenager, we'd hang out and do that stuff, and that it can be kind of monotonous standing in those lines. And
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. And I guess now is like the best time to do it because I don't think they're still not at full capacity. So,
are they
like I
open?
know Universal was only like 25% for many months, and everyone's like go now because there's no lines and it's distance, and I'm like that's kind of seems more fun to go when only like 25% of people can go in.
No, I didn't know. The one thing I would talk when you said Busch Gardens, I didn't know it was called the Busch Gardens because in Virginia they also have a Busch Gardens.
Oh,
So
do they? Okay.
yeah, so it's I knew it was Anheuser-Busch ran them both. I knew there was something in Florida, and they also have a brewery where you can take a tour in Virginia. So that one of their
Ooh.
I didn't go in. I didn't take the tour though, but it's actually a pretty large area. There's also a place called King's Dominion, which is north of Richmond. And then there's another one that's in DC. Oh, Six Flags. Six Flags. That's right. I forgot. I think that's one that
Yeah. We
that
got one of those in California. Well, at least we did. I don't even know if we do anymore, but yeah, I'm familiar with that. Those rides are pretty intense. I can't do many of those. I don't like rides.
the do you like do you lose your like do you throw up at all? Or get sick or anything?
No. So I realized that like so anxiety and excitement are essentially we're getting deep now. We're really dissecting this, but anxiety and excitement are essentially physiologically identical in terms of like the hormones that are released in your body, the neurotransmitters that are released in your body, all of that sort of stuff. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, here you fine. Go
Okay,
ahead.
perfect. I thought I lost you for a second. And the only difference really is the narrative that you tell yourself. So adrenaline is pumping, you have like cortisol, you have all these other things. Your heart rate increases, your palms get sweaty. It could mean that you're really excited, or it could mean that you're really anxious. But really, the only difference is the narrative that you tell yourself, because it's weird because they're essentially identical experiences, but in terms of physiologically, if you were to like take a hormonal profile of your blood at that moment, but the experiences are very different. Like being nervous versus being excited, like one is awesome and one sucks. So I've realized that people seek eustress and they try to stay away from de-stress, right? So like something that's distressing is not fun. Something that causes eustress is something that it causes excitement. So like for me, like my eustress might be like driving in a fast car, or like traveling and kind of feeling like I don't know where the fuck I'm going. Like that would be kind of fun. But me jumping out of a plane would not be eustress. Like that wouldn't be exciting for me. That would be terrifying and 0% fun.
Oh, okay.
So same with like roller coasters and stuff. Like that's not exciting. Like that's that's horrifying. Like
Wow.
I don't do that.
Wow. So how about like flying in a small plane? Like I was telling you, I used to fly in Cessna 172s. Would you like to do something like that? Versus like the commercial line airliners?
I mean, I think I would. I certainly wouldn't jump out of that plane. That wouldn't be the goal, but I might be able to handle that. Although I would probably be scared I'd end up like JFK or something, like JFK Jr. But every time I feel like I hear people crashing, it's not always, but often in small planes. So,
So there's a story I could tell you about that. When I first started out as an airborne traffic reporter, I was I worked for Shadow Traffic, and Abe Howard, who's the operations manager at the time, called me up one day and said he needed me to fill in to do airborne traffic for it, because I wasn't like the regular guy. I was like the backup guy. So I flew
hmm
a lot, but not every day. And so I said, sure, no problem. So I ran up to the airport real quick, got into the plane. And as I'm about to get into the plane, Abe met me at the plane. He said, did you hear what happened today? And I said, no, what happened? He goes, oh, he said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
oh,
And so I get into the
oh
plane.
no,
The pilot tells me, did you hear? The pilot says the same thing. Did you hear what happened today? I said, no,
oh,
what happened? He said that the competition, Metro Traffic, which at the time was in competition with us, their traffic reporter's plane had gone down and crashed. And this the pilot of that plane got killed. And the reporter, who I eventually met, he got burned like over 2/3 of his body.
oh my god.
So, but it was the whole thing was I was I the they had at the time we had two airborne reporters, and I was always the primary backup. And they would both the reporters for the company I worked for refused to fly that day, and I guess they decided not to tell me because I guess they figured I would refuse as well. But I became the primary reporter that day, and it,
Oh my god.
it was kind of gruesome when I found out what happened.
Sure.
The thing that was the only thing I got pissed off about was later on that people never remembered the pilot. They only remembered that the fact that the reporter got burned over 2/3 of his body, which was a shame, which was bad. But they always forgot that the pilot got killed. And every time someone would bring it up in a local, there's a forum that I go to sometimes called DCR TV, which has local radio stuff on it for
hmm
insider stuff, people that work in.
Right.
And every time they bring it up, I would get angry. I'd leave a comment saying, "What about the pilot? The pilot died, and no one ever remembers the pilot." And they always remember the reporter, but they always forget the pilot. And it's because they're only thinking about the fact that they themselves are reporters and they work in radio, and it could have happened to
Yeah.
them. And it's like they don't think about the whole bigger picture.
Yeah, and it's usually like that when like for example when Kobe Bryant died. I mean, it was mostly the focus on him and his daughter when like 5 or 6 other people died as well. And their deaths were kind of overlooked just because Kobe was such a massive celebrity superstar athlete. But literally, like the pilot died there too, and some of her friends, the girl's friends, and a few parents. But like that's often overlooked. Like we just really think like Kobe died, and then they're like, and his daughter, but everybody else was kind of just like, meh, like So
Yeah, and I can imagine with changing, going back to what you were saying about being afraid. I don't, based on what you're saying, I don't think you could handle being in a Cessna.
probably not.
A Cessna is being like in a car. It really is. It feels like you're in a small car with two steering wheels in front of you
Oh no.
with
Okay,
wings
then
on
that's
it.
gonna be a no for me. Yeah.
And the wings, whenever the wind hits, the thing just shakes back and forth, and you're rocking really hard. Something.
Okay, you sold me on never going on one of those, so we're good.
One of the last few times I flew, the pilot decided he was going to be there like a daredevil. He actually
No.
flew through a cloud, and I didn't know that that was illegal. It's not technically, and we were flying over Interstate 270, which is in Montgomery County. He went to this weird angle, and all of a sudden I couldn't see anything.
Oh God.
And I was like looking around, and finally he came out and he said, don't worry, I got it, I got it, I got it. And finally we came out of the cloud. And later, when I landed, one of the people I worked with at another job I had told me that that's actually illegal. What he did was actually wrong. He could have been, I don't know,
Lost his license
I
or
guess, yeah,
pilot's license.
something serious. But the reason you can't fly through a cloud is because where a Cessna doesn't have radar, like
Oh,
like a jet has radar.
right.
You can fly right through clouds, not with no problems. But that was one of the most scary points right there, was just not being able to see where we were. And
Yeah, this guy's a psychopath. What the hell?
uh-huh. And the only other thing that was I'd like to mention about the flying, I'd like one other story I'd like to mention.
Sure, sure.
This would probably terrify you.
No.
I was leaning out, like I said, this is like driving in a small car that has wings, because
Right.
we can open up the windows, we can put our hands out, and we can, and we're going about 120 miles an hour. So you can put your hand out and you can glide your hand through the air. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun to do. Anyway, I was leaning against the door one time to see the traffic, and all of a sudden the door I was on popped open, and I was always wondering what would happen if I accidentally like leaned too far, and if I would actually fall out. And what happened was we were going so fast that the door, air resistance was so fast that the door popped open and immediately popped back into place. And the pilot had no idea what happened. He thought we'd hit something at first because because the aerodynamics of the plane changed immediately. And
Oh my God. So what do you mean it popped open? Like fully open?
yeah, fully open, and it popped. I was able to look down and see the ground and everything. Yeah, we were like really high up, but
And you didn't like stumble or
no, I had a seatbelt on. I had a seatbelt on. So,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
but it was so fast. So basically we're going 120 miles an hour. So the door pops open and immediately slams back.
Oh
And
wow.
when it
Okay.
slammed back, though, just like in a car, there's two latches. Like if you don't close it fully, it's like it's loose.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the second latch, so it was still loose. So so I'm sitting there
Oh my God.
I'm trying to open it and see if I can, but the door, there's so much resistance with the air. I keep on trying to open it and pop it back in. It wasn't worth it. We just had to fly it with the way it was. But
Yeah.
but
That's gonna be a no for me forever. That is crazy.
and yeah, the that was probably the only scary thing. I mean, like I said, it was so fast. I didn't even realize that it happened. I mean, it's just hard to explain, but yeah, I don't think you would want to be in there. I did take a woman up one time. I was dating a woman one time, and I
Mm-hmm.
took her up in the plane because she wanted to see what DC looked like from the air. And when she went up there, I didn't realize that how many people get motion sickness. Apparently, a lot.
Oh no.
And
She got sick.
she ended up throwing up in the back of the plane. So I felt really bad for her. I didn't know what had happened because I turned around and she threw up through her nose,
Ew.
and so it was all over her face, and she was really embarrassed. So
Oh, what a great date idea. I'm sure that is burned on her memory forever. She'll never forget the time that she threw up on a date in the air through her nose.
and
These are nightmare scenarios that will haunt her for the rest of her life.
I'm sure she'll never forget that.
Oh, she never will.
We only went out like once or twice. There was like two or three.
And that's probably why she's like, this asshole takes me and I just get sick. I'm done.
And the pilot knew exactly what had happened. He was trying to calm her down and everything.
Oh,
But
shame.
yeah, I felt sorry. I felt really bad for her. But she was actually more embarrassed than anything else.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I would want to abort mission immediately. I probably would have just jumped out of the plane without a parachute. Like, get me out of here. Anything but this. Time to end my misery. So,
Okay, well, I guess we can go ahead and wrap everything up here. So,
okay, yeah. Yeah,
um,
sorry about all the technical issues on my end. I apologize for that.
oh, that's okay. I'm sure everyone's fine with that. They know, they understand. It happens. It happens.
Cool, cool.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh no, that's pretty much it. But we'll be back next week, next Wednesday around 8 p.m.
Yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern time for those who are.
Yes, Eastern.
Okay, so go ahead and hang on for a second when I disconnect. Don't
Sure.
disconnect there. So thanks everyone for joining the show, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.